5A, report on the July 2024 Operations Department. This is another hour presentation.
I will be brief.
Okay.
Mostly questions by exception, although I can tell you that some of the highlights of this operations report do provide a breakdown of the parameters that the operations department considers within mobile MMS. So it's a window into that system. Yeah. Here we go. So we have our usual spate of operational items that have happened over the month of July. I'd like to acknowledge that 36 service lines were repaired in the Jenny Lind system. And that 11 in Copper, 9 on the Pass, and 4 in West Point. All the while, our utility crew replaces service lines on Baldwin. So that's just a never-ending component. So when we talk about fire hydrant testing, we also have folks fixing service leaks throughout the month. So in this presentation, we jump into our operational dashboard. So this is a snapshot from the last day of the month. See, this is a dynamic dashboard. This changes all the time. And so you can look, we can see here are items associated with active service requests, open work orders, service requests by category, work orders by crew, work orders by category. We can look at historic information. We can look at underground service alerts, and we can talk about the heat map. And so really this heat map is focused on service requests for the different systems. So you'll see snaps of this, and within our operational dashboard, we can actually click on these images and bring up a broader image. And so I try to illustrate that a little bit in the presentation. As we move through, you see some of the parameters will stay the same, but others will change. So you got leak checks by month, the light blue on the bottom right, that is work orders by type. And so what you can't really see, and I apologize, is it's not, well, I might have actually a bigger slide than that. See, so all the while we're scrolling through the heat map at the top, which we can dive in and refine and look at. And so this is USA's in the upper right by service area. We have a considerable amount of USA tickets. We talk about PG&E and all the utility work. All the pole work is just driving our crews batty by the amount of work that is created by their efforts. And so here's kind of a dive into crew name, and this is work order. Let's see here. Yeah, completed work orders. And so this is by crew, and then this is by type. And so I want to highlight the fact that preventative maintenance is the largest group of work orders. So while the district does acknowledge that there's a ton of operational improvements that need to take place, kind of in consideration to the slide that Kelly presented about operations costs over capital improvement, and also considering material costs have increased significantly over the years, I want to highlight the fact that preventative maintenance is still the top when it comes to all the work efforts that are complete. And then by category. And so the considerably high one, obviously, is check for leaks for our system. And here's a little bit of more of a drill into heat map, and you can drill right on into the yellow, which is obviously the highest or the most frequently visited sites. And so just really, that's what I can look at. That's what our folks can look at any time of the day, anytime they please, to understand the dynamic conditions of operations. And so right back to Rancho Calaveras on West Hill and looking at corporation stop failure with a full circle clamp with a gap saddle essentially, and a replacement. And so diving right into the work, it never ends, it always moves forward, and we're there to address it. This is a great picture. On the image on the left is, I think it's like a 2 a.m. shot of, crew members out there working to make a repair on a high pressure service line. shoring box in action. So safety is always at top of mind. Replacing service laterals by utilizing shoring box. So if there is a cave in, that staff member is safe. That shoring box will keep safe, protect them. This is an interesting one, an air relief valve on a water line that has a leak. This is in literally the middle of nowhere from that sawmill tank, the conversation that you just had, to Big Trees State Park. This air relief valve will allow any air to escape along that water main that serves the state park, and there was a leak there. So we have to coordinate with the property owner, who happens to be SPI. This is part of a timber harvest plan, so they need to understand what it is that we're going to do out there in order to make the repair. So some coordination involved, and that's really where we're at. You can see the image on the right with the repair and then the backfilled meter box covering the air relief valve. It just shows you're literally out in the middle of nowhere. And so O&M on the pass, pressure reducing valve stations fill up with water. And if you can't evacuate the water from the drain, we have to physically remove it with a trash pump in order to inspect the pressure reducing valves. And we have hundreds of these on its pass. And you can see the image on the right is a representative from the clay valve or clay valve, which is a manufacturer control valve. We have a lot of those valves out in our system. Really doing an assessment of the condition of the valve in that box. And you can see the one on the left is it's not pretty. More of that work. And then water quality flushing. So we talk about iron and manganese down in the low country, and we also have water quality issues on the pass, mainly due to organics contacting chlorine. And so our folks flush unidirectionally and really by any means necessary. So you can see the image on the right, that's actually an air relief valve box. And if we have identified that area as being an area of low water use, we're going to find a way to purge and flush that water in order to improve the water quality. So that's what's happening there. This is FEMA dollars at work. So during the last spate of atmospheric river storms, we lost this road that we maintained to our Indian Rock wastewater treatment facility. And FEMA paid our construction crew to put it back together, and they did a fabulous job. You can see the riprap and relayed the culvert pipe and regraded the road and put new material on top. So the objective is that this mitigates any future issues associated with atmospheric river storms in this thing. Great job. Hats off to the construction crew. Really clean work. More construction crew work, cleaning access. And then here's conversation about raising valve boxes. So oftentimes valve boxes are covered up with asphalt, dirt, they disappear, and we lose them over the years if we're not understanding where they're at. And so when we find lost valves, we always want to reestablish them and reset them to grade, and that's what they're doing there. Here's our mechanics, two of which were in the buildings earlier during the AeroFire debrief. They replaced this valve, and this is one of those control valves called the clay valve. You can see the image on the left, it's the gray color, reflects the piping, and the image on the right is the brand new valve in dark blue. So this was a capitalized expenditure last year. So we ordered these. These are ozone units. So ozone is a super powerful oxidant used to help pull manganese out of solution. We have two 30-foot tall stainless steel towers, both at Copperopolis and at Jenny Lind, which convey ozone gas in the raw water stream to try to kill any bacteria or virus that might be present in the water, and also to sequester manganese and bring it out of solution. So the ozone bubbles flow through pumice stones, and the ozone is generated in these units. You can see how big the old units were by if you look at the pad for the new unit. And they're much smaller. The technology's much improved. And so there are literally, there's electricity in a light bulb essentially inside of that unit that's being blended with nitrogen gas from an air compressor to make ozone gas. And then it's conveyed, it's super aggressive. So it's conveyed in stainless steel piping out into the system, and all through the treatment facilities are ozone gas monitors. So if they go off, our folks have to evacuate. We have vent fans all throughout the system. And so, yeah, it's really aggressive, right? And so one of the key components there is the uninterruptible power source. And so along with that purchase was a new uninterruptible power source And this is our folks going through a training session. So John Applegate, the operator, the senior operator there in Copperell on the left, was here this morning or earlier this afternoon. And as was Craig Camp, our electrician there in the image. And so they're receiving a training from Toshiba on how to operate this UPS. There's a huge bank of batteries within that UPS. Here's a glimpse that you don't see every day as our electricians doing remote SCADA work to add a time delay to telemetry alarms so they can do all this work remotely from their laptops. And that's kind of a glimpse into comms trends in the image on the left. And then more electrical work, Viper comms radio at lift station 7. So this is tied to the previous slide. I'm working to reestablish communication. So we had transformer issues at our B tank site, which destroyed our communications. So we had folks out late with PG&E. The monumental task in that regard was to convince PG&E that it was a PG&E issue. And so once that happened, it was really kind of a quick work effort to put a workaround in place to keep our infrastructure operating while PG&E worked to resolve that issue. So we are definitely working on a claim with PG&E, but it's not material, it's time. And that's somewhat tedious and tough process. Electrical, this lift station had a pump failure. The shaft was literally frozen, so that requires a pump replacement. And then our mechanics do what they can do to try to reestablish operations in the future. And there we are. Hopefully that was a freight train operations report.
Okay, I have just a couple of questions on the other operations report. This one.
On the
Okay.
written document, okay?
Uh-huh. You have a notation that we're going to be doing a lead service line inventory. And where are we on that?
So we completed, so if everybody is not aware, all water utilities are required to complete an inventory of customer-owned service lines by October 16th of 2024 and report that inventory to the state. And that is an EPA federal requirement. And so there are multiple methods that are approved by the feds and the state to assess lead service lines within your service area. One of those is called a statistical method. So we basically take a small percentage of our services and we analyze them. We physically take a look at the connection to the meter and the connection to the home. And based on that assessment, it could expand the search or it completes the inventory. Meaning if we find lead, then we're going to have to expand the inventory and look at a more broad scope of service lines. But if we don't find lead, the inventory is complete. And so we start the physical work next week.
Oh, okay.
The customer service folks, Kelly Richards and her team are great. They issued a notification today to the 1,056 randomly selected accounts. So this state approved plan takes a percentage.
Okay.
So we got our crew is going to take a look at 1,000 locations, and then Pat and myself will enter that information into mobile MMS, and it will actually change kind of the way that service line is characterized in the software from then on. And so we anticipate having that work done by the 1st of October.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's a quick thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Your purchasing agent worked on recall orders for leased vehicles?
Yeah. So just like any vehicle we were to purchase, all the enterprise vehicles have recalls on them. And so we need to coordinate getting those vehicles over to the dealership for recall.
How many are we talking about?
Ooh, there's been a few. City Sports have had seatbelt recalls. They've had emissions recalls. And generally, it's just schedule a time for usually one of the dealerships, somewhat local. And our guys would take the truck down and have the recall work done. And it's pretty innocuous, but it can be troublesome to schedule. So a couple times our purchasing agents actually schedule the mechanic to show up here. And all of our folks that have a recall come in and get the work done and move on.
Okay. And so I'm sorry with the cow problem down in Vallecito.
Yeah, that's an ongoing issue that we're We've tried many creative ways to resolve. We always have cows in our spray field, cows in our wastewater pump.
Uh-huh.
We're always fixing the fence and in turn fixing the spray field and calling the rancher. So it's a very sore spot for some.
Oh.
And it's a continual work effort. So it needs to be addressed.
Okay, ongoing potholing and locating to verify infrastructure. We have no records showing
Yeah, so
multiple hydrants.
so a lot of our distribution crew members are focused right now, particularly on the pass, on understanding where infrastructure is that we think it might be, but we're not completely sure because we can't locate it because it's made of AC pipe or the service lines are poly or plastic or PVC. And so folks pothole. So our crews actually bore a hole in the ground to confirm, oh, yeah, there's the water main. I found it. And then they notate that on a map and then they
Yeah.
can send that in.
Finally, we will
Right.
bring our records up to date.
Exactly.
Okay, great about the air conditioner at White Pines Park. A free unit somebody was giving away.
That's great. Yeah.
Terrific. And my last question is, okay, I'm looking at your chart about the water production and there was quite a difference between 23 and 24. This one?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, demand is going to fluctuate and obviously the conditions of Mother Nature and the weather is going to really has a lot to do with water demand.
Okay, because we used so much because, the hot period that we, the
Right.
last, how many months?
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, okay. That's it. Okay, fellas, your turn.
Thank you
My,
guys.
my turn's over.
Thank you.
Great job.
Thanks.
Thank you, Damon.
Thank you, David.
Thanks, David.
Okay, general manager's report.
Excuse me. Yeah, unless you want to take the question.
Oh. Well, if you insist, yeah, come on up.
Yes.
Come on.
Again, Mike Rogers from Valley Springs. Thanks, Damon, once again. So, and I've raised this topic before, but when you look at the one chart, you basically have planned work and you have unplanned work. And that relationship between planned work, I'm talking about the bar graph, Damon. I think it's maybe slide 10 or 12 that was up. And so, well, the planned work or planned maintenance work is the highest data point in your data set. When you aggregate all the unplanned work, it far exceeds the amount of planned work. And the reason I bring it up is that typically unplanned work is one of the key drivers in your overtime expense. So monitoring that and on a heat map is more relevant to me than the types of unplanned or unplanned work that you have in the graph, which is useful certainly from your perspective, but from our perspective, when we see that relationship between planned work and unplanned work over time, we would expect that if unplanned work goes down, then it should be reflected in lower overtime expense from an operation, right? Is that a fair?
Yeah, that's fair. But you also got to bear in mind all the disciplines are so different. So
Sure.
if the unplanned work is aggregated, you're going to aggregate electrical work associated with a sewer lift station and distribution system work. And so it's almost like you got to separate the two to better understand.
Sure, but
Where
a
the
capital
challenge-
improvement in the electrical system, like
Lift station.
ozone machine,
Yeah,
for
right.
example, you would probably not characterize that as planned work, but it's probably work that's performed during regular business hours, right? When I think of unplanned work, I
Right.
think of failures out in the field
Yeah.
that are gonna, require a crew at 10:30 at night or something, which is gonna drive overtime. So when we see that that relationship between planned work and unplanned work. And if it's trending one way or the other, then I would expect you're doing some sort of root cause analysis to
Absolutely.
compare it back and determine it. So,
Yeah. And when it comes to service lines, I think we all acknowledge we're still in the noise phase. We've got so much work to do that we're not to a point yet where we can refine and understand, the data to the point that we know we're getting over the hill.
yeah.
And we can talk about that.
Yeah, we can talk about, but again, back to, your unplanned, the other thing that happens with your unplanned work is it takes time and resources away from your planning. You've got to dispatch the crew, so you got to pull them off their regular maintenance. And so, it's all about operational efficiency. And so keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate the information and the data, but as a board, I would encourage you to monitor that very closely because there is a direct relationship between unplanned work and overtime expense, right?
Okay, any other public comment? Pat, are you with us now?
I hope so. Is it working now?
Yeah, great.
It is or is not working?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. This particular request to speak was just for a microphone test. The other business has already been completed. I don't want to bring up old stuff, but it lets me know I'm ready for the next time. So thank you very much.
And Pat, we see the questions you posted in there. We can get back to you offline on those.
That'll work great. Thank you again.
All right, does that conclude all the public comment?